Okay, welcome back to Drunk Bible Study with Aria, Republican, trans, Satanist, anarchist, sheriff candidate here in Cheshire County. Let's go ahead and get everything set up correctly. So my cat evidently decided that she had had enough of this and turned it down. She didn't turn it down, excuse me. She completely and totally shut down my PC accidentally. She just stepped on the power button. Oh, I'm putting that on the wrong thing. And I don't want there to be a great big gap between these, so I just got right back into it, and now I'm fixing everything so that it actually works the way I want it to work. But it isn't, so give me one more moment on that, and that will all be settled. Okay, we should be good now. Getting right back into it then, with the Bible, what does it say about stealing? That's what we've been asking about tonight, because my signs, as we talked about, have been going missing from all over Cheshire County. It would seem, at least here in Keene, they've gone missing. I haven't been back to Winchester yet to see. I imagine I'm going to find the same thing there. It's frustrating to me. I don't know if frustrating is really the right word. It's saddening to me that people are so hateful and so callous and just really so immoral that they're being lectured to by someone. Let's think about this for a moment. I am against stealing when I see my opponent's political signs in a state of disarray. I fix them. And my opponents oppose me? You oppose someone who fixes their opponent's political signs? You oppose someone who is against stealing? Let's look at who you ally yourself with. I was concerned initially that, my friends, my supporters would go around Cheshire County stealing Rivera signs and Earl Nelson signs, and of course I told them not to, but one never knows if they're actually going to listen. So I was concerned about that, and I was like, look, I don't want to stoop to their level. We're not children here. They're stealing our signs, fine. That sucks, and it's more work that we have to do, but we're not going to play their game. We're not going to steal their signs, because stealing is immoral. We live our lives according to a set of two very basic principles: don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. When you take my signs off the highway, you're taking my stuff. And I don't know why we let ourselves get to this point as a society where a person can actually do something like that and not be racked with guilt about it. I won't even touch my opponent's signs unless it's to straighten them or fix them. Or if I see them knocked over or something like that, I will stop and fix it, because I'm not scared of them. And, I don't read the Twitch chat during these Bible studies, because I instead am, focused on Googling stuff and talking. It bothers me, but as someone pointed out, they think it's probably an intimidation tactic. I get why they would probably think that, but anyone who thinks they're going to intimidate me has never fucking met me. Trying to intimidate me is the number one way to get me to defend myself. And I don't mean defend myself with violence. I mean pretty much exactly this, now that I think about it. You steal my signs? Okay, I'm going to do a Bible study about stealing signs. That's usually the way I go about things. If they think they're going to intimidate me, they've got another thing coming. I will say this, it's been almost a week. In 4 hours, it will have been a full fucking week since any of the signs were stolen out of my yard. Now, I suspect that this is because it, became public information that I do, in fact, have surveillance cameras, and I continue to install them as I find. This has been great from an OPSEC standpoint, from an operations security standpoint, because these people have done things that made me aware of gaps in my security apparatus, not having a gun at this time, or not having a security camera pointed at this exact location or that exact location. It's been great for that reason. These people aren't a threat to me. They aren't a risk to me. They're not breaking into my home to attack me. They're just doing something really, really innocuous and ultimately costly, like stealing my fucking both 20 signs out of my yard. Probably to destroy them, to be honest. I mean, that's probably the case here. But by doing this, they've improved my security tenfold, because I never would have thought to have faced a camera there. But now that I have, I see how useful it would be. Even if I didn't have signs there that I was watching to be stolen, it would be good for me to have signs there. And that's what I prefer to do, and that's what I think all people should do. If something negative happens, find a way to learn from it. Find a way to turn it into something positive. Because we need more positivity. Bad shit's gonna happen. That's a given. I don't know what that noise was. It was probably a cat. Bad shit is gonna happen. You have to be at peace with yourself, and you have to be able to take that bad shit, evaluate it, and come up with a way to turn it into something positive. Having more security cameras pointed in better places is a positive thing. And it's a result of this negative action. I could cry all day about how I'm a victim of theft. That's not going to do me any good. What will do me good is to evaluate that and take measures to protect myself in the future. So I've done that. Cat, you have to stop muting different fucking EQ channels. Just don't step on the buttons. That's all I ask. My cats love walking across my mixer. One of them. They don't ever walk across the other one. I don't know why that is. They never walk across it, but they always walk across the actual vocal mixer that I use. And then they just stand there and stare at me. So, I can't even see the screen, Cat. You've got to move. Come here. Okay, so we explored this. What does the Bible say about stealing? We know what the Bible says about stealing is pretty fucking clear. The Bible does not like thieves. And let's face it, that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with thieves. I suspect there's going to be a lot of fucking brutal shit here. Punishments for stealing. If anyone sins, okay, we talked about this. So basically, according to Leviticus, they need to return my signs, and then they need to return my signs to their proper places, and then put out 20% more of my signs. I don't want that. I just want you to give me back my signs. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to put them back out there. That would be great. I mean, that would be the moral thing to do, right? But just throw them in my yard. I'll deal with it. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen. Again, that's compensation, and I'm not interested in compensation, because this is not the way to adjust society. And I realize I diverge from a lot of libertarians about this. It's like, okay, well, it's fine if someone steals from you, you demand restitution, you know. And this is the point that Walter Block and a lot of other anarchists make. If someone kills your family member, then they basically become your slave for the rest of their life, because they owe you restitution. They owe you for the work that person would have done that would have benefited you and everyone else. I disagree entirely. I think forgiveness is the way to go. And I say this as someone who, as I point out fairly often, my mother actually was murdered by someone, and coming to terms with that and realizing that there was nothing that could happen to this person or that this person could do that would make me feel any better about the situation. Seeing this person executed would not have helped me feel better. Seeing this person thrown in prison would not have made me feel better. The only thing that can make me feel better is coming to peace with what happened. And the only way to do that is to learn to forgive. And I think that's true in regard to stealing as well. I don't expect these signs to be in my yard when I wake up tomorrow. That would be fantastic, but I don't expect it. I expect the theft to continue. I'm at peace with that. I will just go out there and put them up myself, and I will order more, and I will continue doing it. They're not going to stop me. I don't think that there's anything they could do to actually undo this, because they can't change the past. You know, they can't go back to 2 o'clock this morning, to an hour and a half ago. All of the people driving down the highway who would have seen my signs who otherwise aren't, they can't undo that. You know, that time there is forever lost. and there's nothing they can do about it. And I don't think any amount of putting up 20% more signs is going to change that. So the best course of action is to just forgive them. Whoever steals a man, and so. But we also have to talk about the absurdity, the absolute fucking absurdity of thinking, for whatever godforsaken reason, thinking that stealing my signs, why is that so goddamn loud? I've already turned it down, man. That's fucking obscene. The absurdity of the fact that they think stealing my signs is somehow going to inhibit my message. Now, I don't know. For those who haven't been paying attention, I've got about 2,100 followers now on Twitter. Something like 1,000 people watching my Facebook page, which I can't even use right now because Facebook has banned me for the next 2 weeks. I'm on the 30-day ban, and I'm like halfway through it. I'm not paying attention to it because I'm fucking banned, so Facebook doesn't want me using them right now, so fuck them. I'm not using them right now. But Twitter, I still am actively using. They have never banned me. They did shadow ban me, it would seem, at one point for a period of about 4 hours, but that went away. But I don't know if people have noticed, but like Pink News, the Sun, the Daily Mail, LGBTQ Nation, Metal Injection, a lot of news outlets are covering my story and my message right now. My website, effpolice.com, EFFpolice.com, where it spells out all of my positions and all of my ideas and everything you need to know about me, you can find there. That's getting thousands of views every single day from people. At one point, it was getting 20, 25,000 views per day. It's died down a little bit, but then again, in about 3.5 hours, the AP is running a story about me, and they seem to expect it to be pretty big because they actually sent a photographer here to Keene, and they expect 5 photos to be used in the article, and that's running in 6.5 hours. This whole show really escalated and went viral on a Saturday. So I don't know. Quite possibly the biggest single news story about me is going to run in 3.5 hours, and these people are stealing my signs. My message is, my signs are superfluous at this point. They're not fucking needed. They're there because I want them there, because I like seeing them. And I have to say, it was wild. Thursday I went to Nashua, and I'll get into that too, because that's really fucked up. But I went to Nashua, and it was just wild seeing all of these signs in support of me, all up and down Cheshire County, all along Route 101 on my way there. And knowing that I didn't put those up. I don't know who put those up, but they're out there. Because it's not hard to get my signs, right? People can just walk on my porch and grab them if they want. And I'm fine with that because it's a security camera and they can't actually get into my house. So, it's fine. And like I said, there are security cameras. So, I mean, if somebody reaches out to me and I'm just like, yeah, sure, come by and get these signs. And I've had this happen repeatedly, to the extent that someone was trying to get signs for me to put in their yard, and I completely and totally fucking spaced on it. And then I got kind of upset when I drove by and I saw like 4 of my signs in their yard, and I was like, who the fuck is this? I'm not sure I want the support of someone who's going to take my signs off the highway to put in their yard when it's so easy to get in touch with me and get one of my signs. But it turned out to be someone who had in fact gotten in touch with me and gotten signs from me. That's the level of busy I've been at lately. This shit is happening fairly fucking often. But the signs aren't needed for the message to get out there at this point. The message is out there. Disarm the police. Fuck the police. Transition to freedom. Aria Mesa for Cheshire County Sheriff. Everyone in Cheshire County knows that I'm running for sheriff. They know where I stand. The signs aren't there to make them aware of me, because this is what most political signs are for, is to raise awareness of a candidate. That's not needed in my case. Stealing, it wouldn't matter if I had absolutely no signs out there. You're not going to affect the knowledge of the Cheshire County voters by creating that reality. And even if you did, is that really the kind of world you want to live in, where you would rather people not know information because you don't approve of that information? That's fucked up, man. So Exodus, again, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. No, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, that's that vengeance-based mentality. That's what's wrong with the world today, is that we have this justice system that is built on punishing people, and somehow we call that justice. But it's not justice, it's just fucking punishment. It's just retribution. No amount of punishing someone is going to, one, create any actual sense of morality within them. If they're immoral enough to do something that requires punishment, then punishing them isn't going to change that. And I don't want to live in a world where the only reason that my neighbor isn't killing me is because they're afraid of the punishment for doing so. I want them to not fucking kill me because they agree that it's morally wrong to kill people. That's the world I want to live in. And I don't think putting a gun to their heads and saying, hey, oh, by the way, perpetually putting an invisible gun to their heads and saying, by the way, if you step out of line, if you just do something we don't approve of, we're going to fucking murder you. I don't think that's the best way to have a society. I think a much better way is to learn forgiveness. Punishing people for doing things that we don't like has not been a good thing for humanity. Look at the American prison system. It's supposed to rehabilitate. It's supposed to segregate, rehabilitate, and punish. It only does one of those things, realistically. It only punishes people, and that's completely pointless. Punishing people, and all of the psychology proves this. You don't change a dog's behavior by punishing its bad behavior. You don't change a child's behavior by punishing its bad behavior. You change the behavior by rewarding good behavior. So when I argue against the justice system, that's where we have to start at. We have a system here, an enormous, quote, justice system that is built on the idea of punishing bad behavior. And we know all the psychological studies have agreed punishing bad behavior does not change a person's behavior. Instead, reward good behavior. And I have some ideas on how we might do this. For example, if we had a free market where it actually fucking mattered whether or not you were a good, upstanding, moral person, then we might actually have less fucking criminality, less fucking immoral actions, because they would be rewarded for being good, upstanding, moral people with promotions, with success, with wealth, with trust, with friends. But we don't have that. Instead, we have this constant sword of Damocles hanging over our heads that may fall at any moment because we decide to sell cigarettes on the side of the goddamn street, or because we happen to be homeless and schizophrenic and sleeping in, where was it? Where was Kelly Thomas killed? I want to say it was Las Vegas, but I know that that's not right. Maybe it was New Mexico, which I understand is a state and not a city, and I just went from a city to a state, but I'm pretty sure it was New Mexico or Texas. It was somewhere in the Southwest. Anyway, we all have this perpetual sword of Damocles because of the enforcement apparatus of this punishment system hanging over our heads, and it's damaging us. We don't have a system where we're rewarded for our good behavior, and we know it. You know it. You know no matter how hard you work at your McDonald's job or your gas station job that you are never, ever going to be wealthy from doing that. That's broken. The entire apparatus is broken. And it's a lot of it. It's not because, capitalism is bad or anything like that, or free markets are bad. It's because the state has created it to be this way. It has purposely created this system where you're fighting against your coworkers, your friends, your colleagues, your family, instead of it. The whole divisive mentality, it only serves the state. Having a justice-based system, having a vengeance-based justice system only serves the state because it creates this fear among us. And that's never good. And I've lost track of what the original point of what I was even saying even was. So let's get back to what the Bible has to say about the fuckers who are stealing my signs. Woe to those who devise wickedness and work evil on their beds. When the morning dawns, they perform it because it is in the power of their hand. They covet fields or signs, and steal them, and houses, and take them away. They oppress a man in his house, a man in his inheritance. Therefore, thus says the Lord, behold, against this family I am devising disaster, in which you cannot remove your necks, and you shall not walk haughtily, for it will be a time of disaster. That's not a very strong statement, really. It's like, devising disaster, and it's going to suck, and it's going to be disastrous. In that day they shall take up a taunt song against you and moan bitterly and say, we are utterly ruined. He changes the portion of my people. How he removes it from me. To an apostate he allots our fields. The irony of that, as me being the sheriff candidate, the apostate to which their fields may be allotted. Therefore you will have none to cast a line by lot in the assembly of the Lord God. The Old Testament is sometimes almost as unclear as fucking Nietzsche. But see, that's the difference here between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I find that fascinating. I mean, to one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also, and from one who takes your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. That's a beautiful sentiment. I don't necessarily agree 100%, but let's just reverse it for a moment to what the Bible was saying just a few minutes ago. If a man steals an ox, he shall repay 5 oxen. That's not turning the other cheek. That's demanding vengeance. That's demanding compensation, restitution. Those are two very conflicting messages. And I support the latter one, the Old Testament one. The New Testament one. When I said latter initially, what I meant was the one that came later. But I support the New Testament's position exponentially more than the Old Testament ones. I don't agree with pacifism. To one who strikes you on the cheek, I would say, defend yourself. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. I would say, defend your cloak. However, here I am with my signs getting stolen, and I'm not actually out trying to defend my signs, even though I'm pretty sure one is going to go missing less than 4 hours from now. I'm not out there trying to do that. I'm just turning the other cheek and planning to put out another sign. So I don't know. Maybe philosophically, I disagree with that point. I think that defending yourself is better. And I actually never switched back over, so you never actually saw the screen that I'm looking at. Sorry about that. I think it's better to forgive and to move on with our lives than it is to, because let's just go back to the example of my mother being murdered. The person who murdered her did serve a 10-year prison sentence for an unrelated murder, believe it or not. It was 100% unrelated to my mother. So he's done time for murder, but what good did that do me? I get it. It meant he was out there not killing people for those 10 years, and presumably now, because he's like 60-something years old, he's not out killing people. But that doesn't actually help me any. It helps these potential victims about whom we know nothing, sure. It helps the people he could have murdered in that 10-year period, but it doesn't do anything for me. So even if he had been tried and convicted of murdering my mother, it wouldn't have done anything for me. What could I do instead to come to peace with this? Because that's the goal here, This person took my mother from me. And this was when I was an adult, by the way. I hate even saying that because people have brought up psycho and bullshit like that. So this person did that. How can I come to peace with that? How can I come to terms with that? Is there anything we can do to this person that will make me feel better? Would I feel better if he was executed, if he was dead? No, because that would be violence. I'd never feel good about more violence, and that's exactly what that would be. Would I feel better if he was kidnapped against his will and held in prison? Again, no, because that's violence. And I understand in some cases it may be necessary to prevent someone from committing further crimes. But in this case, at this time, at least, he's an old man, and he's pretty much incapable of murdering anyone. So how can I move forward in these circumstances? And the only answer to that is to learn forgiveness. And I think that's where people are going astray. This person, he's angry at me. He thinks I've done something wrong. He disapproves. He's not happy. He may not think I've done anything immoral, but he thinks my message is wrong. He thinks something I believe is wrong, and he wants to punish me for that by stealing my signs. I would suggest to this person that they need to learn to forgive. If they think I'm wrong, then, they should contact me and tell me why they think I'm wrong, and they should learn to forgive me for being wrong. That's my challenge to them. Learn to forgive people. If you think I'm wrong, fine. You could take the effort to actually explain why you think that. But regardless of whether or not you want to do that, forgive me. Forgive me for being wrong. I'm human. I'm not perfect. Well, I'm glad I came on to actually finish this. My cat hit the power button and shut down the PC in the middle of the stream. I didn't even know that would do that. It gave me no chance to fucking cancel it. It was almost instant. So that's my challenge to this guy. Learn to forgive, and also learn to forgive yourself, because, you are a thief. You are. And there's nothing you can do now to fix that. But it's okay, because I forgive you. Just stop doing it, though, because it's kind of a pain in the ass for me to go out there and put up signs. And it's kind of cold now. It's like 30 degrees right now. I don't really want to fucking be out there putting up signs. I'll do it. But it's really a pain in the ass, and I don't appreciate it. But I do forgive you, and I will be out there putting up more signs whenever I can. Thanks for listening. This has been Drunk Bible Study with Aria. Probably not a very good one, again, because I didn't flip the screen over like I intended to. But this whole thing, once the cat, killed the conversation in the middle of the stream, it kind of got lost. So thanks for listening. We'll be back next week, probably Thursday night or Wednesday night. It's hard to predict, but I will post about it on Twitter. You can find links to all of that at fpolice.com, EFFpolice.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, or, just like the video or subscribe or whatever, you'll get a notification. But, you don't really have to do any of that. It's cool if you want to, but I don't care if you do or not. So thanks for watching.